Hello. Have you ever had a crush on someone? Your heart flutters when you see them. Your mind wraps itself around the idea of them. Hell, you might even think about them when you're asleep. I know I have. But have you ever had a 7-year-long crush on an abuser as a victim of abuse yourself who is famous and you don't know? Me neither. Tyler Catastrophe. Tyler Catastrophe is a 26-year-old trans man who currently lives in the US but is using their beaded jewellery business in order to move from America to the UK. And whilst that's not a problem at the current minute, I will explain to you in a bit why them moving to Brighton is, it's a bit iffy. It's a bit iffy. You see, Tyler has a crush on popular internet influencer and chronic biter of alternative women, Wilbur Soot. He gained a huge amount of fame a few years back for this thing called the Dream SMP. Have you heard of it? Collabs with people like Dream, Technoblade, Tubbo launched this guy into stardom, and he was one of the big names back then. It really surprised me the amount of people that were completely unaware of the things that Wilbur Soot did, considering when the controversy with him in it happened, it was kind of all the internet spoke about for a while. Then again, I suppose I shouldn't be too confused. Whilst I continue to get older, the internet stays the same age, and the people who were 12 years old 2 years ago when all of this came out, they probably weren't watching the Dream SMP. Did 12-year-olds watch Paw Patrol? Were they watching Paw Patrol? Either way, to fill you in as quick as I can, in February of 2024, a YouTuber named Shubble came forward and spoke about an ex-boyfriend who left her bruised during their relationship. And while she didn't mention any names at all, Wilbur Soot came forward and confirmed the allegations were about him. These allegations, beside him just being a bum, were along the lines of, he would bite me until it bruised and he would completely ignore the safe word that we had to stop him from biting me. I don't think I need to be the one to tell you how wrong that is, considering enough has been said about Wilbur in that situation, and because this video is about someone else entirely. So all I say now is power to Shubble for coming out, and the other women who did as well, and I think he's a twat. However, in every situation where someone gets outed for doing something horrible, for whatever reason, there are going to be people that continue to back that horrible person. And some people are dicks, they're dickheads. Once more, Tyler Catastrophe. Tyler posted a video in June of 2024, 4 months after Shubble came out about Wilbur, in which they made their stance very clear on the situation.
I do not think that Wilbur Soot is an abuser.
It's a bold claim. It's a very, very bold claim. There's a small community online who still support Wilbur and his band Lovejoy, who, they make music, I guess, and also his content. And whilst it's small, they're far too loud and obnoxious in their support of a known abuser. And they don't see a single thing wrong with it, which is, But I, being incredibly intelligent and handsome, have gotten to the bottom of why these people think this way, and not to use any hyperbole at all, it's because they want to fuck him. And again, I don't mean this as a joke, I don't mean it in hyperbole in any way. Every single time someone outs themselves as a Wilbur Soot supporter, they always find him incredibly attractive. There's a theme, and it's quite clear to me. Having love for someone means you'll kind of ignore the bad things that they do, in order for you to continue thinking that they're this amazing person. It's why some relationships that are very one-sided last as long as they do. You don't want to give up on this person who you love because you have this kind of fake image of them in your head. That makes sense to me if it was your boyfriend, but a random famous person online who abused a woman and you don't know, you're a twat. You're teaching Wilbur that he can just do whatever he likes and get off scot-free, and you're doing the same for every other abuser too. Not only that, you're also giving a fat middle finger to all victims of abuse, and especially Shubble. I think it's disgusting. Anyway, shall we get on to the reason why I'm making this video? We probably should. It's been a bit.
I have had a crush on Will Gold since 2019, when I heard him laugh in the background of someone else's video, and it felt like life itself leaned in to listen. Which is really inconvenient for me, because I am very much a one soul at a time kind of person, so once I develop a crush, virtually no one else stands a chance. And at the time, I had just broken off a terrible engagement to a guy who didn't even fucking like me. And since then, I have only briefly dated one other person, who was wonderful, but it didn't work out. And so in all of that time, regardless of how many people have tried and been interested in me, I have not been able to find the interest for any single one of them. Because I have a fucking crush on a guy I have interacted with once. And I don't even officially know his sexuality. That's a whole other thing.
First off, Will Gold is Wilbur Soot. Lord knows why Tyler's calling him Will Gold like he knows him, but okay. Having a crush on someone isn't wrong. It's a very natural thing to do. However, it kind of gets a bit strange when you don't know the person at all. Saying you have a genuine crush on someone when you don't know who they are and they genuinely don't know who you are either, it's just kind of off. I suppose it's okay if you're like a young person at school and you have a crush on a schoolmate, but it definitely steps into weird territory when you're both pushing 30 and one of them is famous. famous? You see, to famous people, fame is their job. They need it to make money and keep the lifestyle that they have, so they have to act a certain way to keep that fame. I mean, if most famous people were themselves, they just wouldn't be famous. For instance, Wilbur never made it clear to the public that he had mold all over his house, he never cleaned, and he bit his girlfriend till she bruised, because all of those things would ruin his fame. What I'm trying to say here is you do not know famous people. Hell, you don't even know me, and I'm far from it. And to say that you have a crush, a genuine crush that stops you from having romantic feelings for anyone else, on not only someone you don't know, but also someone who's an abuser, it's beyond me, really. I mean, you got a glimpse into what they were really like. You found out what they were really like, and you went, "Ah, my dream man. What are you doing?"
And I have tried. I have tried so hard to move on from this, to let it go, because I want so badly for it not to cross over into parasocial territory.
Clearly haven't tried fucking hard enough. If you've spoken to someone once, and you have a 7-year-long crush on them that has ruined any romantic chances with anyone else, you have a problem. As for the parasocial part, yes, it isn't technically parasocial. Parasocial would entail that they genuinely believe them and Wilbur are romantic or friends, which it, doesn't seem like they do. It is a separate thing entirely called limerence, kind of. Limerence is the mental state of being intensely infatuated with someone when you don't know if they share the same feeling. It tends to be used in situations where there's a classmate that you don't really know, but you have this big crush on them and you don't know if they feel the same way. So it's not technically right. So, for Tyler's situation, I am coining a new term. Parasocial limerence. Tyler has stepped perfectly over the parasocial territory and stepped into just being a bit fucking weird.
But in like the 7 minutes that we spoke to each other, one, every time we made eye contact, I thought my heart was gonna fucking burst out of my chest and fly away. Two, I was so nervous that my head just shut off and my mouth had a mind of its own. And anyone who knows me and has ever met me knows that I don't get nervous about people. What the hell was that? 3, he somehow managed to make me want to write music again, something I have not done since my last band broke up in 2019 and I got hit by a car and couldn't sing anymore. And I can sing again now. It took several years, but I got it back because I'm amazing. But how dare you pull my spark back out from underneath the ashes I spent years burying it under because it hurt too much to think about. In like 2 sentences. It's rude.
On a second watch, this clip stood out to me more than it did in the past. To me, it feels like Tyler is pulling at strings, either unknowingly or on purpose, to have this connection with Wilbur Soot. The reason why is because if you have a genuine connection with someone, it's a lot easier to justify a crush. To them, Wilbur's the reason they make music, the reason that they sing. And to me, stuff like that seems like it's led to this unhealthy obsession that he has with him. Let's keep it going.
He failed to take a selfie with me because he was operating on like iPhone settings and I have an Android, and I accidentally called him adorable.
Oh, I'm uncomfortable.
All of this is made worse because I have been recognized at every single concert I've been to in the past year and a half, including 2 of his. And I've been on the Lovejoy Nation podcast twice. So no matter how many times I try to sweep this out of the rug and move on with my life.
Can we get a cut back to when he said he was desperate to get over this? We don't need to, actually. Let's just move on. Going on Wilbur's band Lovejoy's podcast twice. Paying to go to his concert and maybe his meet and greet. I don't really know if you have to pay for that. I don't go to Lovejoy concerts often. Doing an audition for their band, which, they did do that. Show that now.
He told me that much and now he's dead. Told me to kill my indulgences with a sharp blow to the temple.
And making videos about them constantly is the opposite of trying to get... The opposite of trying to move on. You aren't. That's that simple. You're not doing a single thing to distance yourself from this man who you don't know.
There's always that little thing in the back of my head saying, there's a non-zero chance. Oh my god.
I don't mean to be rude, but there is a genuine 0% chance. Just based off of the fact that huge content creators aren't going to want to date a super mega fan like you. And... let's ignore the fact that I met my girlfriend on Twitch, please. I also don't think Wilbur's gay.
The way I see it, I finally say fuck it. I make this video. I say it all out loud to the ether that is the internet. Worst case scenario, he sees it. He says, hey, not for me. I move on with my life. It's fine. I'm an adult. Who cares? I'll take a no over uncertainty any day of the week. Neutral option, nothing happens. Oh well, I guess. Best case scenario... because honestly, it doesn't matter what I'm doing any day ever for the rest of my life. If he was like, hey, do you want to get dinner or something? I'd say yes. Obviously, I'm Delusional, it's fine.
It is good to admit when you're deluded, but it doesn't make the delusion any better. I don't think I need to go over again why this is so wrong. Having a celebrity crush isn't necessarily bad. If you let that celebrity crush completely take over your romantic life, you have a problem. However, that is your own problem. It doesn't affect me in the slightest, so why should I care? It's because he abuses women. However, with what Wilbur Soot has done, that's where my personal problem lies with it, and that's the reason why I'm making this video right now. In the video they posted in 2024, where they claimed that Wilbur wasn't an abuser, they went over the 3 main points that Shovel made and basically tiptoed around them in order to try convince everyone that they were okay to do.
I'm going to stick to 3 main points from Shovel's VODs. Please go and watch them yourself. You are under no obligation to think the way that I do. And then I'm going to touch on Wilbur's response. And then I think the general response needs to be addressed as well. Because Shovel's main points were that Wilbur was a slob, had a messy house, that she paid for a lot of her way to see him, and that he bit her. For point 1, let's be honest, most men aren't taught how to take care of themselves in their living spaces. And for men in their early 20s, that's a lot worse than it should be. Every man I dated in their late teens, early 20s was gross. That's just kind of par for the course. It sucks, but it is to be expected. And it is not, by default, malicious. 2, paying your own way, especially for a distance like that, is kind of expected. And when you take into account that they were both very successful in their respective careers at that point, paying your own expenses isn't, by default, malicious. And for the 3rd point, Shovel states very clearly in her follow-up VOD that she consented to the biting. She then went on to clarify that what she had an issue with was the fact that it hurt. And while I don't think anyone should be hurt in their relationships, at the end of the day, that is a communication issue.
Multiple problems with this. Living like a slob isn't abuse or malicious. When I was like 19 to 20, I wouldn't bother cleaning up my bedroom. I didn't need to do that. I had Fortnite to play. Besides like food, I just had clothes all over my floor, and God forbid I hoover. But there's a stark difference between me, who at that point was 20, and Wilbur Soot, who was mid-20s to late 20s, who, need I say, has fame and money seeping from his damn pores. I'm 22 now, 23 in 4 days, fuck. My house is lovely and clean. I still have a problem with hanging my clothes up, but at least they're in my wardrobe. So, whilst not abuse or malicious, if you're as rich as content creators like him are, you can hire a fucking cleaner. Like, they go on to say, and I quote, most men aren't taught to take care of their living spaces. Which, hey, I definitely wasn't. But some things don't need to be taught. By the big old age of 25, 26, you should know not to live in squalor, especially when you've got money. They also state that for men in their early 20s, it's worse than it should be, and every man that they've dated in their 20s just so happens to live like that. Let me let you in on a little secret. You date bums. I am, by definition, in my early 20s. Wilbur isn't and wasn't. Did you know he's 30 this year? And the clips that you've been seeing is my house without doing a deep clean beforehand. Hell, this is my house after having 4 of my mates around last night as well. It's not pristine by any means. There's things on the floor, there are things that should be elsewhere. But instead of my house being dirty, it's more lived in. It's clean. It is such a strange thing to me to try justify other people living in dirty environments just because they're men who were young and they weren't taught to be clean. It doesn't make fucking sense. All this does is show them that it's okay to keep living like this. The second point they made was Shovel having to pay their way to come see Will. And whilst yes, I suppose if you're traveling somewhere, you should pay for it, but in relationships, it should be 50-50, and this comes from personal experience. You see, when me and my girlfriend started dating, she lived in Bristol and I lived in Brighton. Every single Friday, she would come down to Brighton because she hated Bristol, which meant I didn't need to travel, win for me. And yet, every other week, I would pay the fare, and I would pay for everything else they needed. We took turns paying the fare because, as I said, relationships should be 50-50. And I mean, shit, that was only £100. Imagine having to travel from America to the UK without your boyfriend helping you. Now, I don't know the exact time that Wilbur and Shovel were dating, so I don't know if Wilbur was bigger or smaller than Shovel at that point. But even if he wasn't, and he was making less money, he still should have paid at least a bit. It's common courtesy. It shows that you care. It's a simple relationship thing to do. And even more so if he was making more money. It shows such a huge level of disrespect, and to me, it's malicious. And for his third point, he brings up the fact that Shovel consented to the biting. Now, this is a major point that Tyler brings up all the time, and it pisses me off. It's their fallback point as to why Wilbur isn't an abuser. Yes, she consented to the biting, What she didn't consent to was Wilbur using their safe word as a benchmark in order to see how far he could push it, and ignoring it. Ignoring a safe word is abuse, and in worse cases, it's assault. I don't know why Tyler ignores this so much. He has been told it multiple times, even by me. I had a DM conversation with Tyler, which I'll go over later, but I brought up that point and he just ignored it. He seems to turn a complete blind eye to this point, which to me shows that he doesn't care about the abuse. He doesn't care about the thought of Wilbur being an abuser. He's going to believe what he wants in order for the situation to sit right in his mind, allowing him to continue having this crush and these romantic feelings on Wilbur so that he can keep living in this fantasy world where he's his dream man. Plus, I mean, it's so disrespectful, especially considering Tyler himself has been a victim of abuse. For the rest of that video, they go over a specific point. The point being that if someone has done something wrong, a mistake, they should be pushed to do better so that they can become a better person instead of being pushed away. My problem with that is, why do you need to be that person? Why do you need to be the person backing them? Because all that you are doing right now is showing your support to a man you have no connection to who abused a woman. You are giving the fattest middle finger to Shovel and every other victim of abuse just so that you can, support this man that you find attractive? Oh, and also, I want you all to remember, the other woman that came out about Wilbur, Tyler never mentions ever. And this is all to support a man who literally doesn't know who you are. Being famous is a privilege. He knew that. He squandered it by abusing women. He does not deserve the support of a fan base. He does not deserve your support. So why are you doing that? I mean, I don't need to ask. It's because you want to taste his cock. Think about it like this. If a man abuses a woman, the only reason why they would be sad is because they were outed as an abuser. So all that you are doing by supporting the man is helping him out of this hole that he put himself in and making the woman sadder because you're choosing to support a man who beat the shit out of her. The choice for who to support in an abuse case seems very simple to me and so many others, but to Tyler, it's really hard to choose. Either way, Tyler followed all of this up with a few defense videos about their actions in which they didn't back down and they changed their story a few times, so we'll go over that now.
I do know there's a difference between embarrassing and morally wrong, right? They're not the same thing. Because, oh my god, it is so not that serious. Is it embarrassing to publicly admit that you have a crush on someone? Yes. Is it also embarrassing to admit the person you have a crush on has a larger following than you do? Yeah, sure. But having a crush and feeling emotions about a person you don't know is not inherently wrong. I'm not out here writing self-insert fanfiction or building a shrine to our love in my fucking closet. I said that I had a crush on a guy who I do not know, and that we met one time, made eye contact, and it gave me butterflies. I said it in a way that wasn't strictly literal, because I'm an artist and a poet, and I like to say the pretty words, and y'all are out here acting like I trained an AI chatbot to talk like him. And for the record, we are strictly against AI in this house, just so you know. But are y'all really so online that you forgot that being human is allowed? Yes, he's successful, and there are other people who want him, and he has a larger following than me, and I've had a crush on him for more than a couple years. But he is just a guy. He is just a guy. And yes, having a crush on him makes it hard for me to have a crush on literally anyone else, because he is proof that all the qualities I want in a partner exist as one coherent person.
You don't know that. You don't know that. I said it earlier, but you don't know famous people at all. You don't know what they're like behind closed doors. Did anyone peg David as a murderer pedophile? Because I didn't. You do not know that they have all of the qualities you want, because they don't. You got a little glimpse into them. You found out they were a bum. And you still want them? I mean, we went over the point that they made where they said all of their exes kind of lived in disgusting environments. And I don't really want to get into the psychology of people who date bad people constantly. Mainly because I don't fucking get it. But if that is what Tyler has, and that's the reason why Tyler's ignoring all of the stuff about Wilbur, again, that's a problem they need to sort out themselves.
And why the fuck would I want to settle for someone who doesn't have those qualities when I know that those qualities exist? But I'm not out here saying that he's the only person who's allowed to date me. He's the only one who's allowed to try, and if I just wait long enough, he'll fall in love. No. If he asked me out, I would say yes. That is all I said.
What? It just isn't. You just didn't just say that.
Been following me for a while. Chances are you actually know who I am, and you don't need to hear this. But for the new people, I have posted thousands of videos over the past, 7 years? About myself, about my work, about the things that I believe in. And sometimes that means saying shit that other people disagree with. And right now, Twitter wants you absolutely obsessed with misinterpreting less than 10 of them.
Now, this is a point that they seem to be stuck on as well. Because Twitter is a place where loads of evil and mean people go to gather, they've kind of got this idea in their brain that because Twitter's attacking them, they're in the right. And hey, Twitter is full of the worst people, and they did genuinely attack Tyler for everything under the sun. I don't think I need to be the one to say it, but attacking someone for their gender, their looks, etc., it's daft. It doesn't help you prove your point. In fact, it just goes against it. It's the reason why you shouldn't get angry when you're doing arguments. And because the people who attack them tend to be mean and bad people, they kind of think they're in the right because a bad person's attacking them and they're a good person, I guess. It's an insanely poor way of thinking, so I don't know why they do it, but then again, I don't know why they do fucking anything.
And the thing about trying to tell people who someone is that doesn't really hold up when that person has been showing you who they are for 7 years. And all of those people who want to see you frothing at the mouth, sending hate comments and death threats, do not know who I am. And they certainly haven't seen enough of me to know. I put beads on a string for a living and I talk to my phone, and I have never been anything but kind, respectful, and compassionate. A little bit sassy now and then, but who isn't?
Ooh, sass! I don't think there's much misinterpretation going on. First off, Tyler is saying this like there is this huge mob of people trying to make you and me believe bad things about them, which it's not the case for me. I awoke 7:30 in the morning, dreary-eyed, opened TikTok, and the first video that appeared was his. I then made my own opinion about it, made a few TikToks that did very well, and now I'm making this. I never interacted with the people of Twitter, and so did countless others, so why does Tyler think that's the case? I mean, it goes back to my point earlier where because Twitter bad and bad people attacking him, he think he good. But also, there is absolutely no misinterpretation of your words. You clearly said you have a crush on Wilbur Soot and you do not think he's an abuser. That can't really be misinterpreted. And the point that they made where because people don't really know them, their words don't really mean that much to them just seems so off to me. They seem to believe because everyone attacking them doesn't truly know who they are, then again, their words don't really matter. Tyler knows who Tyler is, and Tyler thinks Tyler's amazing.
And I can sing again now. It took several years, but I got it back because I'm amazing. The only person I'm obsessed with is me because I'm amazing.
So Tyler's amazing. That is delusion. If you can never be wrong because you think everyone else is, you've got a huge problem with yourself. And here's another thing. You don't need to tell people you're a good person. And all that you've kind of shown people is the opposite, really. Sure, you might have shown everyone how lovely, kind, and compassionate you've been over the last 7 years, but that doesn't really matter if you've done something terrible. If a person abuses someone once, they are always an abuser. It doesn't matter how compassionate they've been or how kind they are. They did that, and therefore it sticks. And yes, they can make up for it. They can better themselves. But that thing will always stick, even if they have come so far from it. Despite how amazing you might have been, you are now always going to be an abuse sympathizer. And sure, Tyler can 100% make up for that, but they've made it so clear that they just don't want to, and they don't care.
Look at any of my other videos, look at how I interact with people in the comments, because if there's one thing staying completely consistent, it's that I'm not horrible. You can disagree with me, you can not like me, you can believe whatever you want to believe about me. But I will not believe it for you. I stand by what I said because I know I'm coming from a place of integrity and experience. The only person I'm obsessed with is me because I'm amazing. And sitting here expecting me to bend, to pretend to be someone I'm not just so that you can justify the way you're treating me, is simply not how I do things. So whether you're here about a video about a crush that I exaggerated for entertainment purposes, or from a 2-year-old video where I encourage people to think for themselves and consider that there's a lot of information they don't know.
There is. There always is in literally everything. You're never going to get the full story of something unless you were literally there. In an abuse case, the best thing to do is shock horror, support the person who has proof that they were abused. It really isn't that difficult.
In a situation where the worst accusation was biting, and the person doing the accusing said herself it was consensual.
Piss off, please. Oh, the worst accusation was that they were... I said it before, he used their safe word as a benchmark and pushed past it in order to bite her for longer and to bruise her. That is abuse. How many times have I said abuse in this video, mind you? Good God.
Because I personally believe that that's something that someone can learn from and grow from, and be better from in the future.
It's so disrespectful. Because how can you not see anything wrong with what you're saying? Yes, they very well might be able to learn and grow from it. But all that you're doing is choosing to be incredibly disrespectful to all abuse victims by choosing to do it yourself for a man who you don't know. It would be different, I suppose, if it was like your best mate or your mum or your dad. You have this deep connection with them where even as much as you probably should, you kind of don't want to leave their side. You want to see them do better. So yes, I guess it makes sense. So yes, I suppose it makes sense in those instances, but again, Tyler is choosing to do this for a man he doesn't know, doesn't have any connection with, and he doesn't know him. You are spitting in the face of all abuse victims, which I would like to add again, you are yourself. If your mate got bit till she bruised, you would not push past her and go support the man that abused her just because he can do better and he can be better. Give it a rest. I've got a few more points to make, and one of them is that Tyler seems to downplay this crush. They do this in a video, which I'll show bits and bobs of now, in which they talk about wanting to move to Brighton, England, which is a point we'll also go over.
Seeing the guy moving halfway around the world just to be closer to a YouTuber? If y'all think I would make a massive, life-altering decision that takes years of work to achieve, just because I was willing to admit on the internet that I think a musician I don't know has a pretty laugh?
They say stuff like this a couple times. Like, no, you didn't just say they have a pretty laugh. You said you had a crush on them, and you said you don't think they're an abuse. All that this shows to me is that they're trying to downplay their feelings, which just kind of means one of two things, which we'll go over now. Number one, you amped up your feelings to make an entertaining video, which means you played up your feelings about a known abuser for internet clicks. Kind of just makes you out to be a dickhead. Or number two, you know you messed up and you know you're in the wrong, so you're trying to dampen that by playing it down. This doesn't really make you out to be a good person either, because number one, you've got a crush on an abuser, and number two, you know that's wrong and are now trying to lessen the blow. Also, just a nitpick here, but they're doing the age-old internet thing of arguing with themselves in a video. One of those where the bad person sets them up for the perfect comeback and then ends up getting owned in the end. I think abuse is good. Kill yourself! Well, that was mean. I must be in the right. Winner! You're making witty comebacks to your own arguments. How does that help prove anything? Anyway, this video that I showed you was made because they have a GoFundMe to move to Brighton, England, which I mentioned earlier. Now, on the baseline, that's not very problematic, but Wilbur Soot lives in Brighton, and worse off, I live in Brighton. Now, weirdly enough, I'm not actually one that fully believes they want to move to Brighton because of Wilbur Soot. Tyler is a trans man living in a predominantly Republican state of the US. No wonder he wants to get out of there. And if he wants to move outside of the US and only speaks English, the UK is kind of the best place to go, and Brighton just so happens to be the gay capital of the UK. So really, what better place for a trans man to go? However, I won't deny the fact that Wilbur possibly is a reason for it. I don't think he's the full reason in the slightest. I think there might be a slight inkling in their brain that goes, maybe if I move to Brighton, I'll see Wilbur. It is scary that I might genuinely bump into them at one point, though, just because I was born and raised here. As I mentioned earlier, I spoke to Tyler in DMs, so we'll talk about that now. First off, I asked him if he wanted to do an interview on my Twitch channel, which he said he didn't want to, which is kind of fair enough. But I did say if he didn't want to do an interview, would he be down to just have a one-on-one chat? I promised to be respectful. There's no need for hate in a debate. As I said earlier, it just goes against proving your point. They responded saying they'd have a chat, and so we spoke. It was only a few paragraphs, and to be honest, I didn't really get much from them. I won't be showing nor stating what was specifically said, but I'll go over a few points. He repeated what he said in his videos, and again, he sort of backtracked his way off of having a genuine crush on him. And that's kind of all I can say on that matter. I understand how annoying it must be that you guys can't see what we said, but I hope you understand. I mean, as much as they don't respect victims of abuse, I want to seem respectful. Salut! It's me, the next day, in a completely new outfit. How fun is that? Whilst I was editing this video, which I'm doing right this second, Tyler came out with a brand new video defending their actions, so let's go over it.
I said I have a crush on a guy in a band who I do not know and have met once. And because I was not strictly literal in a video that was for entertainment, I have somehow become the target of a weeks-long ridiculous smear campaign that, frankly, I don't want to understand. And while part of me knows that it's probably smart to just hope it dies out, it just keeps getting worse, so I'm gonna say some shit. I am not the one stalking comment sections hoping to see someone I do not know. You are. I am not the one making fake accounts to stalk someone I do not know. You are. I am not the one making money off of lying and talking about someone I do not know. You are. I am not the one writing fan fiction and making edits and drawing fan art and using AI to make slop of people I don't know kissing. You are. I'm not the one pretending to be related to someone just to spread lies. You are. I am not the one wishing death and torture and rape and worse on someone I do not know just because they said they had a crush. You are. And I am most certainly not the one using AI to try and convince people on the internet that someone I have never interacted with is a pedophile. That's 100% on you.
Me? I am not stalking comment sections. I am not making fake accounts. I'm not doing anything that Tyler is saying. And whilst I'm sure that there are many people doing that, and I will agree with you, most of that stuff is just plain wrong. Acting like everyone is, or the large majority are, is just gonna, make you feel like you're in the right when you're not, which is not good.
I said that I thought a guy was hot and funny and interesting in a video where I was not strictly literal. And then I said that because I am confident and like myself, that maybe he would like me if he gave me a chance, if he was interested in men. Because again, I don't know his sexuality. I do not care where he lives. I do not care who he's seeing. I do not care what he does for fun in his free time because it has no effect on my life. I have a physical type. He happens to be that type. I have very high standards. I do not want someone who does not meet that standard.
Throughout this video, Tyler yet again just reiterates what they've been saying, which is becoming a theme of theirs. Do I need to say that you don't know Wilbur Soot again, and you don't know that he meets your standards again? Because you don't know him? To even think about saying you have high standards and then saying that an abuser fits those standards is genuinely beyond me. How a victim of abuse is coming out with these words and believing what they're saying, baffling.
That is all I fucking said. And right now, the only reason most of my videos are still up is because I do not want to give people more room to lie. Clearly, all of those videos have missed such a large mark. I don't know how we got here. I don't want to know. But at this point, I have spent my entire life overcoming things that most people would never even have to imagine. And I spent a ridiculously long time being just the scapegoat for everyone around me. So I know that there are people who have no interest in the truth, no matter how big it is. And I know that there are people who will post anything that gets views. Consequences be damned. I actually left the creator program months ago because I didn't like the incentive it gave to trigger people and start rage bait, and it's stupid. I don't like it. So really the only thing I have to say to the people who are using my name to get views and make money in a way that is not true and is very deceptive, I hope you plan to donate every single cent that you have made off of misrepresenting my character and using my name for views. To the ACLU, to Planned Parenthood, to the people of Palestine or Lebanon or the Congo or Sudan, to Indigenous or Black Lives Matter charities. You have a lot of options because frankly, every other problem on Earth right now is bigger and more important than a guy who has a crush on another guy.
First off, about this, in all of the videos that I've posted, I don't think I've said a lie about Tyler at all. Hell, if I have, tell me about it. But to me, all I have done is react to Tyler's content, given my spur of the moment reactions, and then posted them. I think there's much or any defamation there. And for my second point, I just want to state clear here and now, this is the amount of money that I've made from the situation. Zero, none, nothing, absolutely nothing. My videos on this subject have garnered over 2 million views on TikTok, and I have profited nothing from any of them. I am not in the TikTok creator program, if that's what it's called. I don't know, because I'm not in it. So you will not be gaining moral high ground on me.
And while it would be nice to have a little more money, because I have goals of my own to work towards, I want absolutely nothing to do with any of that money. And otherwise, I hope you end up regretting every single cent you have made off of misrepresenting me. Because I am a good person. I am kind, and I do not deserve any of this. I believe that other people are mostly good. I believe that people can change when they have motivation to do so. And I hope that you all learn from this in the future, because There's really nowhere else to go.
This is how people who are in the wrong tend to make themselves out to be in the right. If you, in your heart of hearts, truly believe that you're in the right when you just quite frankly aren't, you're gonna end up in a situation where you don't change, you don't grow, you don't take in anything that anyone has said because you think you're right to begin with. And I know the reason why Tyler doesn't think they're wrong, and I'm gonna talk about it right now. They do not at all understand the reason why people are upset with them, which is baffling to me considering they made about 6 videos on the subject. They seem to believe, and they say it throughout this video, that the reason why people are upset with them is because they said they had a crush. That is not the big problem here. The big issue is Tyler being a huge abuse sympathizer. That is the issue. And him never backing down from that point. That is the problem, and you can't deny that that's a problem. And also, please just stop telling everyone you're a good person. It doesn't prove a thing. I'm now going to skip a large portion of their video, just for the reason of it has nothing to do with what I'm trying to say. They go through the fact that 7.5 years ago, they got hit by a car, and since then, they've been in chronic pain. And they will be forever. To that, I will say no one deserves to be in chronic pain, and I'm going to move on.
And if you're here trying to see if what you've heard is true, it's not. You can look at everything I've said. I've left it all up. I stand by what I've said. Because even the worst thing they could find on me was me saying that they should think and consider carefully before allowing themselves to be used as an internet attack dog on behalf of people they do not know. Because there will always be information you do not know. I stand by that 1000%. Not sorry.
Does he genuinely not see the irony in anything he says? Tyler, there is a lot that you don't know about it, and there's a lot that you don't know about Wilbur Soot, because, as I've said countless times, you don't know him.
And to Will Gold, on the off chance that you see this, personally, kind of hope you haven't seen any of it, but to you, I am sorry, because clearly, this has gone so fucking far, and I didn't intend any of it. This whole thing sucks, and I don't like it. But other than that, I have no other apologies. Because I have nothing to apologize for. So yeah, that's where we are now.
You are so jarring, Tyler. You're so fucking jarring. It's very, very clear now. Tyler does not think he's in the wrong at all. If you have ever had to deal with someone who is constantly right, they can never be wrong, and they do not back down, then you know how horrid that is to deal with. Tyler is not allowing themselves to grow. He is not allowing himself to change, and he is not allowing himself to be wrong. He is going to stay an abuse sympathizer, and he just doesn't care. Need I mention how disrespectful it is to say it is not that deep in a video a while ago, and that you have nothing to apologize for, whilst downplaying and ignoring clear abuse? It is so disrespectful. Anyway, that is everything about that video, so back to Cranstoon in a black shirt and a cardigan to wrap things up. To wrap up everything in this video, and I don't mean this in a mean way in the slightest, I genuinely think Tyler is deluded. I've had my own personal struggles with someone that I was very, very close to dealing with delusion. It ruined their relationships with their family and their friends, and in fact, nowadays they're still trying to get that back. And they're still suffering from it. Now, I don't think that Tyler is that bad, but I do believe he fully thinks he's in the right here. Because as he said, he knows himself, he knows he's kind, he knows he's amazing, so he thinks he's right. And that comes after all of the internet has kind of banded together in order to tell him why he's wrong. He doesn't care. The infatuation he feels to a man that he does not know has caused him to become an abuse sympathizer as a victim of abuse himself. And that infatuation has led to countless videos being made about him, and yet he doesn't see anything wrong with his actions. And he doesn't want to change in the slightest because, again, he knows who he is. At least that's my point of view on the situation. I implore you to think for yourself about this whole thing and let me know if you think I was wrong at any point. If you disagree with anything I said, do tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear it. So yeah. Fucking hell. I'm going to give a huge shout out here to AJ Talks a Lot. I maybe stole some clips of Tyler's videos that have been taken down from them. Go and watch their video on the same situation. In fact, you might have already seen it. As after finding out that they made a video on it, it kind of pushed me to make my own. So thank you for watching the entire video if you made it to this point. It's a very different type of video than my usual one, so let me know how you feel. If you're interested in more from me, I've got other videos. I stream on Twitch, which is on the screen right now, and I make TikToks, which is probably how you know me anyway. So thank you again for watching. If your cat's pregnant, I hope the pregnancy goes well. I will hopefully see you guys again on another video. Please continue watching me. Ha, I'm unemployed. I've spent the entire video playing with a hat with my feet. La 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 la.